Hello and welcome to this lab exercise for the lessons contained in the data storage section. In this lab exercise, we will implement components covered within the previous lessons. In this lab exercise, we will create a simple data storage application. The application should contain one main activity with a UI of 4 buttons. The first button should have the text Show Last, and when pressed, it should show the last recorded timestamp as a toast. If no timestamp has been recorded, then nothing should happen when the user presses the Show Last button. The second button should have the text Save Last, and it should record a new timestamp value. This value needs to be stored for the following runs of the application, and not just the memory of the activity. This value will be used for the Show Last action and the other actions as well. The third button should have the text Dump Last, and it should write the last saved timestamp to a file named save_last.txt in the internal storage. Every time this button is pressed, the last timestamp should be overwritten if previously dumped to a file. If no save timestamp exists, then pressing the Dump Last button should have no effect. The fourth and last button should read the value from the saved_last.txt file if it exists, and show that value in a toast. If the file does not exist and no value has been dumped, then no toast should be shown. Hints for this lab exercise. A value for a key timestamp can be saved in the shared preferences for the application. The date class can allow us to easily record timestamps. Calling the constructor date without any parameter will create a new date object constructed from the current time. Since complex objects cannot easily be stored in the shared preferences, the date object can be converted to a long value, which is a milliseconds value of the date, by calling the method getTime on the date instance. A long value that represents the milliseconds of a date can easily be converted back into a date by calling the constructor date with a long parameter for the milliseconds value. If a date object needs to be displayed, it can easily be converted to a string by calling the toString method on the date instance. The second screen of this application is a bonus, and should be a logging screen that is reachable by pressing an action button from the main menu. A database log should be constructed so that every time a button is pressed, the action is recorded. The database should contain the table button_logs, which should have 2 columns, button text, which should contain the text of the button pressed, and num clicks, which would keep a record of how many times a button has been pressed. The UI for the login screen should show a list view of the data of the items in the database. For instance, the Show Last button has been pressed 5 times, and the Save Last button has been pressed 4 times, then the list should have a row with the text Show Last and the number 5, and a line with the text Save Last and the number 4.